We are about to see something that could change things up a lot.
We are about to see something that could change things up a lot. Blake Lively is freaking out after the judge finally decided to openly question her entire lawsuit. Her legal case is falling apart fast as Daily Mail reporter James Vushka flips, exposing Lizzie Sloan's shady smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
There's evidence that Leslie Sloan started a smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is occupied showing off on Time magazine covers while Blake stays out of sight.
She's dead quiet. Someone that's not quiet is her husband, Ryan Reynolds.
Blake Lively's legal nightmare just totally backfired on her because honestly it's becoming one of the most ridiculous courtroom breakdowns I've seen in years. I mean, she seriously believed she could waltz into the legal system, flash her celebrity grin, toss around a few documents, and bulldoze everyone. But clearly, Magistrate Judge Steve Kim wasn't buying the performance. Finally, a judge using common sense.
And this reporter from the Daily Mail that now there's big rumors that he's going to withdraw his sworn statements.
Blake Lively's legal disaster just exploded in her face, and honestly, it's turning into one of the most laughable court meltdowns in recent memory. She really believed she could stroll into the justice system, flash her Hollywood grin, wave around some documents, and bulldoze everyone. But Magistrate Judge Steve Kim wasn't buying the act. Finally, a judge using logic. Blake's latest brilliant tactic? She filed a motion to force Wayfair parties to turn over documents like she was running the show. But the judge completely shut her down and didn't just deny the motion. He actually mocked her. His ruling practically dripped with sarcasm. He called her request unripe, which is legal speak for Blake. This isn't your Instagram, it's a courtroom. What made it worse? Blake's team wanted those documents in 10 days like she was ordering prime delivery, but the reality? The other side already agreed to hand everything over by July 1, 2025. So her courtroom stunt just made her look desperate, impatient, and totally out of her depth. And then it gets even messier. Blake actually filed the same motion in both California and New York at the same time. Imagine being so scattered and panicked that you start throwing legal filings like party confetti, hoping something sticks. It's cringe-level embarrassing. But the California judge wasn't having it either and refused to transfer the case back to New York, basically implying she doesn't even understand basic jurisdiction. Her legal team ended up exposing how chaotic, contradictory, and poorly planned this whole ordeal really is. And it only spirals further. Judge Kim's order ripped into her. He said Blake exaggerated delays, twisted facts, and tried to bend deadlines to suit her. Classic Blake, spinning her version of reality, hoping the courts would fall for it like the tabloids usually do. They didn't. And the evidence? Even more of a joke. Her case hinges on documents from Joan Works, documents that are missing the most essential element, metadata. For anyone unfamiliar, metadata is the digital proof that shows when a file was created, altered, or where it came from. Blake's documents have none of that. Which means they can't be authenticated. Courts can't confirm whether they're real or something her team whipped up after a few glasses of wine. This raises serious concerns about evidence tampering. And Wayfair's lawyers are ready to tear it apart. The worst part? If it turns out she had those documents before the subpoena was officially issued in October 2024, she's toast. That would mean she illegally obtained evidence. So the same Blake who acts like she's above all the drama suddenly looks like she's knee-deep in shady tactics. Of course, she's pointing fingers, blaming Joan Works for handing over incomplete files. Classic Blake. Never her fault, always someone else's mess. But the judges aren't buying her excuses anymore, and neither is anyone else. And now comes the cherry on top. Van Zen Incorporated, Blake's shady little shell company, now accused of being one of Hollywood's sloppiest cover-up operations. Here's the rundown. Van Zen allegedly filed a bogus lawsuit, not to win anything, but just to gain access to phones and private data from Blake's rivals. Once they got what they needed, the lawsuit disappeared. Poof. Case closed. Imagine abusing the court system like it's some TikTok prank. Then they were told to submit documents revealing their true shareholders by June 24, 2025. What did they do? Absolutely nothing. missed the deadline completely, which just adds more fuel to the fire that Van Zen is nothing but a Reynolds Lively puppet operation to hide their shady moves. And yes, it gets even worse. Jennifer Abel's legal team believes Van Zen was used to run a smear campaign against Wayfair and dodge proper legal discovery, meaning Blake set up a fake company just to game the system and act like a behind-the-scenes puppet master. Wayfair's lawyers aren't playing along. They want shareholder records, organizational charts, and internal communications, all of which could prove Blake has been pulling strings the whole time. But Blake's team is refusing to cooperate, which makes them look even more guilty. And here's the bombshell. Those missing Van Zen documents could reveal that Blake coordinated with Joan Works and PR firms to launch a full-blown smear campaign. So now we're not just talking about shady evidence, fake lawsuits, and procedural games. There's a potential paper trail tying it all directly back to her. Her legal strategy is laughably bad. She's out here trying to play legal chess, but she's stuck in checkers mode, contradicting herself at every turn and leaving a trail of disasters for the world to watch. And the best part? The judges aren't falling for it. They're not dazzled by her fame or her polished public image. They see the manipulation, the drama, the lies, and they're calling her out every step of the way. Her whole carefully crafted persona, the relatable girl next door with the perfect life and charming marriage, is collapsing under the weight of this legal circus. Shell companies, missing metadata, fake court cases, desperate courtroom antics, it's all coming apart. And honestly, watching it unfold is better than anything on Netflix. Blake Lively's polished PR fantasy is crumbling into courtroom comedy. Now let's talk about the latest twist. One Daily Mail reporter, James Vushka, just casually lit a fire that could burn Blake's entire narrative to the ground. You can't make this stuff up. Even Hollywood writers couldn't script a more chaotic downfall. Vushka originally signed a sworn statement trying to downplay Leslie Sloane's involvement, Sloane being Blake's longtime PR fixer with a habit of bending the truth. But the story's flipping faster than Blake's credibility. Vushka dumped the Daily Mail's in-house attorneys, who were probably guiding him to protect Blake's spin, and instead hired a criminal defense lawyer. Yes, a criminal defense attorney. You don't do that unless you know you're in deep. Think, perjury, obstruction, serious charges. Why would a journalist who was just reporting need a criminal defense lawyer? Because this mess is now potentially criminal. And the Blake camp's panic over this is more entertaining than any PR campaign she's ever run. But the real kicker? Text messages surfaced showing Vushka calling Leslie Sloane a liar. Publicly, he submitted a statement defending her. Privately, he was calling her dishonest. That contradiction alone is enough to torch Blake's entire narrative. You just know her PR team is losing it behind the scenes while trying to act like they're in control. And don't forget, the same Vushka published that August 2024 article labeling Justin Baldoni as chauvinistic and abusive. That article was the fuel behind Blake's entire smear campaign. Now insiders, likely people Blake assumed would stay silent, are pointing fingers at Leslie Sloane as the one feeding him that narrative. This is PR manipulation at its worst, and Vushka's finally cracking. The cherry on top. He's now under whistleblower protection. That's right. The guy who was supposed to be on her side has flipped and been granted legal immunity. That alone could destroy Blake's storyline. She thought she could control the press, silence critics, and manage the headlines. But now her own insiders are jumping ship, and the entire house of cards is crashing down.
And it's crazy. Apparently, the Daily Mail reporter has been granted whistleblower status. So I'm just going to explain again quickly what happened here. So James signs a sworn statement to the judge saying that it was all a misunderstanding, the communication that he had with Leslie Sloane.
But of course, while Blake's entire PR machine is crashing and burning, Justin Baldoni isn't just sitting back playing the victim. He's charging forward, ready to take on this courtroom circus with everything he's got. His $400 million defamation lawsuit may have been dismissed, but he's not backing down. His attorney, Brian Friedman, has already hinted that there's more coming, and Blake should definitely be nervous. Those designer heels won't protect her from what's next. Even legal commentators are questioning how the court handled this mess. Judge Liz, a retired judge turned no-nonsense YouTube legal analyst, outright called the dismissal unconstitutional under California law. She basically accused the court of twisting itself into knots to shield false accusers like Blake, while punishing the actual victims. And let's be real, when even retired judges on YouTube are dragging Blake, you know the situation is bad. Baldoni's legal team is going on the offensive, calling out the courts for essentially silencing victims of false allegations and giving Blake a free pass to spin her narrative, manipulate the media, and play the perpetual victim with zero accountability. And here's the kicker. Even though appeals are notoriously hard to win, with only about an 8 to 12% success rate, Baldoni is moving full speed ahead. Because for him, this is about more than winning a case. It's about shining a harsh spotlight on Blake's smear tactics and dragging the real story out of the shadows. And Friedman isn't just any lawyer. This is the same guy who filed a $250 million suit against the New York Times. He knows how to use litigation as a megaphone, pulling back the polished PR curtain to reveal the mess underneath. And if this appeal goes through, you better believe it's going to uncover the texts, emails, metadata, all the proof Blake's been scrambling to keep buried. But here's the absolute best part of this entire disaster, Blake herself. When it came time to actually face the music and back up her claims during her scheduled deposition just 2 days ago, she bailed. Completely. Blake Lively, the queen of curated public image and polished red carpet perfection, pulled a vanishing act. Just like that sham lawsuit her puppet company Van Zen Incorporated conveniently dropped the moment the pressure got too real.
Blake Lively did not show up at the deposition that was planned with Brian Friedman 2 days ago. I don't know what her deal is, why she didn't show up.
And it's not just a bad look, it's a full-blown credibility disaster. Depositions are legally required by August 14, 2025. That's not a friendly reminder, it's a court-ordered deadline. Skipping them isn't just suspicious, it screams that Blake has something to hide. And honestly, watching her PR team scramble to spin this while she dodges legal responsibility is downright hilarious.
And what I've heard is that all depositions must be in by August 14th.
And it's not just a bad look, it's an absolute credibility disaster. Depositions are due by August 14, 2025, and that's not optional, it's a binding legal mandate. Skipping it isn't just shady, it screams that Blake has something to hide. The funniest part? How loud she was when things were going her way. Remember when Baldoni's earlier lawsuit got tossed? Blake couldn't wait to jump on Instagram, acting like the victim-turned-victor, posting cryptic celebratory stories like she just won an Oscar for Best Legal Performance. But now? Total silence. Not a word. The same woman who always has something to say is suddenly mute when the court's calling. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is still out here trying to sweep up the mess, parading himself across magazine covers with his PR machine pushing the fantasy that they're still Hollywood's golden couple. Behind the scenes though, Blake is dodging depositions like the truth is her worst nightmare. Skipping legal obligations isn't just embarrassing, it's a huge red flag. It opens the door for court sanctions, fines, and more public backlash. Her team knows it, which is why they're working overtime to spin this mess while her entire empire collapses right in front of us. The truth is, the court doesn't care how curated your interviews are or how perfect your Instagram feed looks. They care about facts, evidence, and accountability. 3 things Blake seems to be running from. From Vushka flipping to Baldoni's relentless counterattack to Blake's own disappearing act in court, the walls are closing in. Her fairy tale is falling apart, and no Instagram story, no shell company, and no Time cover is going to fix this. And now the circus officially rolls into its next act, Ryan Reynolds. Because let's be real, he's not just some bystander in all this. He's center stage, front and center, practically selling popcorn while his wife's reputation goes up in flames. Ryan just entered the chat with his classic smug PR playbook, splashing his company Maximum Effort all over the Time 100 cover, trying to paint himself as this inspiring, flawless businessman. The timing couldn't be more obvious, or more desperate. While Blake is drowning in legal drama, flipping witnesses, and collapsing public trust, there's Ryan smiling from magazine shoots like nothing's happening. It's actually hilarious how hard both of them are clinging to this fake power couple image when the public can clearly see through it. Let's talk about the hypocrisy. Ryan's been out here preaching about accountability, like he's some moral compass. Accountability? From the guy married to the queen of dodging subpoenas and filing fake lawsuits? Please. The only thing Ryan is keeping accountable is the crisis PR team working around the clock to patch up their collapsing brand. And here's the kicker. While Blake's hiding from court, Ryan is bragging that all the attention has boosted his business's visibility. Imagine profiting from your wife's legal train wreck while pretending you're too classy for the drama. That's beyond shameless. It's PR exploitation at its finest. It's like lighting your house on fire just so you can post about the flames. But the contradictions keep coming. Ryan claims public opinion means nothing to him, yet the moment backlash hits, he's disabling comments, deleting criticism, and tightly managing his media coverage. For someone who doesn't care, he sure spends a lot of time curating his image. It's giving high school level insecurity, not billionaire confidence. And people aren't buying it anymore. Just look at Blake's latest product, Blake Brown. It was supposed to be her next empire-defining brand, her big power move while the lawsuits raged on. Instead, it's already marked down on clearance shelves in New York. That's not brand dominance, it's a PR burial. And we're not done. Leslie Sloan, Blake's fixer and the woman behind the PR curtain, is still busy playing legal games and making the mess worse. She actually had the audacity to demand that Wayfair pay her legal fees, as if she's been vindicated. The delusion is unreal. Reality check, Vushka's whistleblower texts say otherwise. She can deny all she wants, but the messages prove this wasn't just a clumsy PR move, it was a deliberate smear campaign. Legal filings reveal Sloan used every dirty PR trick in the book to keep Vushka quiet: job threats, pressure, manipulation. These are political scandal-level tactics, not something you expect from a Hollywood publicist. And if Sloan's full role gets exposed, Blake's entire case will collapse right alongside it. Because at that point, the media manipulation won't just be speculation, it'll be fact. And the courts are starting to catch on. Judges aren't fast-tracking Blake's demands anymore. They're seeing through the smoke and mirrors. Sloan and Blake can spin their narrative all they want, but the legal system isn't buying the act. And it's only a matter of time before the entire house of cards collapses for good. Which brings us to the grand finale, Blake's empire cracking wide open as the truth finally starts surfacing. Judge Lyman has already shown serious doubt in Blake's conspiracy-laced claims. He's even considering tossing parts of the case due to jurisdiction issues. One of the biggest hits? The possible dismissal of key defendant Jed Wallace, the supposed mastermind behind the digital smear campaign. If Wallace gets dropped from the case, Blake's narrative falls apart completely. Her whole story unravels. The stack of disasters just keeps growing: missing metadata, bogus lawsuits, skipped depositions, whistleblowers flipping. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash with Blake behind the wheel pretending she knows where she's going. The public backlash is growing by the day. Blake Brown flopped, the hypocrisy of the Time cover is glaring, and every new interview or product launch feels more forced than the last. People are waking up. They see the lies, the contradictions, the desperation. And with judges doubting her case, evidence falling apart, and key allies turning against her, Blake's once polished image is collapsing at lightning speed. This isn't just a courtroom catastrophe, it's a full-blown Hollywood PR implosion. And no publicist, no glossy magazine cover, and no celebrity endorsement is going to glue it back together. Blake Lively's empire is sinking fast, and trust me, we're only getting started. Hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the next jaw-dropping twist in this disaster.